What topics we should not bring on first date dating app real stories. Here are some things I've noticed about dating, and dating apps in general, that might be summarized best with a comment from a conversation I had with my dad. The issue here is that you are trying to force something to work that, inherently, does not work. While there are success stories from people who have found love and stability via these means, I'm keying in on the fact that those are far and few between. Heartbroken reports of ghosting, catfishing, benching, breadcrumbing, half-night stands, and all of these other trendy coined terms to describe the slaughter going on out there in the dating world today. Which leads me to the next point. Most responses to dating failures seem so numb and devoid of true passion and deep reflection that there is no real fight remaining for relationship building and sustaining as a purpose. Relationships require time and attention, and it's far too tempting nowadays to siphon that time and attention into superficial things like social media, likes, and that perfect selfie. Why? Because these things likely light up the reward systems in our brains like the addicts we've become, making the addiction to gratification and stimulus more important than our boring, monotonous, real-life connections to one another as human beings. Why settle down with one person and pay attention to building and growing slowly with them, when you can indulge your senses on the buzzes and vibrations of validation, flashing lights, fancy animations, jazzy notification bells and whistles, and haptic feedback from cell phone, to dive back into the endless possibilities of the digital double life? Also, recognizing a genuine connection in its infancy and having it suddenly disappear without a trace no longer has the emotional protection. I'm support of a strong and morally grounded community to catch it and guide it back to where it needs to be, either nurtured or ended with maturity. This may be a side effect of the absence of delayed gratification, massive scale learned helplessness, or even the evolution of snack-sized wisdom and memes failing as substitutes for bonding over discussion and rumination on real issues and the reasons behind them. Instead, it's seen as, oh, well, that's that. Tough beans, just move on. Insert a collective, giant, proverbial shoulder shrug. Modern dating has become a careless, free-for-all, with no common standard of operation, nor agreement, lacking measures of excellence, and most importantly, no real marker for when to stop and unplug. Too often I'm seeing people accept these destructive behaviors as natural, to the point where it is evolving into something common and acceptable. It's being rewarded. And what is rewarded, continues. And here is my last point. Many of this are failing to call a spade a spade. How many people have intentionally removed themselves from sex and dating long enough to truly reflect within upon the behaviors and beliefs they're bringing to the table that mimic parents, role models, or TV? How much of this is learned and replayed through us, ruled by emotions only, without logic and reason? Versus a tried and true collection of yes, this works because it works. And I've spent time with my peers and colleagues to elaborate upon why it works, and observed the results that show that it works. How many are unconsciously seeking to satisfy some repetition compulsion, to repeat past trauma in new relationships to gain a sense of control and power where they once felt helpless and weak? Do we have the courage to address these topics? How many people are willing to admit that they're wrong, and that we're probably going about this the wrong way? How many of us are willing to do the real, ugly, painful work, so we can finally have healthy relationships with each other? We're on the fast track to becoming a bunch of instant gratification addicts, trying to force things to work in modern dating that inherently don't work. You totally echoed my thoughts and reasoning behind taking myself of those apps. I cannot force something that has to happen naturally, and I'm in for the real deal. Dating apps have given everyone the illusion of unlimited options, that so many people these days back out due to any slight inconvenience or differences. I understand expectations and standards, but no two people are going to be a 100% perfect fit. People these days choose to find someone new rather than build a good foundation. Everyone is so busy chasing the perfect person that they don't realize that no one is perfect. You have compatibility, honesty, and mutual interests where you work to build the perfect relationship. It doesn't fall into your lap all perfect. I don't know how to meet anyone genuine anymore when everyone is too busy swiping. Haven't had much luck either, what though, IRL or on dating apps. Too relatable. Same here, met the occasional badass chick, bought her lunch, took her to see a movie and shit, she even indirectly said she wanted to see me again. Who ended up going for the other guy she met off Tinder anyways. I figured out it's got something to do with my age and how young I look. I guess yeah, happened to me too, where she preferred the other guy. She got over though, I was low-key happy she did. Try more active first dates like getting coffee and walking in a park or around town. Save the movie for date 3 or 4. Thanks for the advice, but I'm not dating anymore. I've wasted so much time and money and emotionally damaged myself from that bullshit. Sad times for most guys aged 18 to 21 these days. Hope things get better for you, man. Things definitely turn better as you hit your mid to late 20s. You ain't better off getting into hobbies or clubs and meeting women that way. You have to realize though, that any remotely attractive woman or man on these dating apps is not only talking to you. They have 3 to 4 guys they are talking to that are doing anything they can to get in her pants. Some are more successful than you, but not as attractive. Some aren't as attractive, but have better game, etc. It's a very competitive market basically. I always had several different women I was talking to do, so I can't imagine the attractive women and their rotation. For them it would more be a matter of trimming the list down and quickly elimination, guys. I realized that earlier today. I feel like this doesn't contribute much to the discussion. Oh, I'm sorry about that, just giving my opinion. For a guy, dating apps are dreadful. I get much better results IRL, but even then it's very hard to meet someone that you click with. If you are in your 30 or up, it's brutal. LOL. Amen to that one. Modern dating has become way too difficult. It used to not always be this way. 15 years ago it was still food. But now, it's a nightmare. Yeah, don't wanna sound like an old man, but I've completely given up on the hooking up thing a long while back. I agree. Honestly, over the last 30 years, modern mass media, internet, social media and dating apps have absolutely screwed the average man out of his mating and marriage prospects. It made the majority of women very entitled, picky and shallow. Not to say men aren't shallow too, in fact most are these days too. But one has to acknowledge that women for the most part have the absolute advantage in the dating scene. And God forbid if this gets any worse next decade. I would hope it gets better 10 years from now. That way we can all simply look back at the 2010-2020 as a dark time period in dating and relationships. I mostly agree with what you say. One point I don't agree with is the prospect of marriage, assuming this is what you mean. I don't think there should be an expectation on anyone to date or marry at a certain age, etc. Also, that thread is so accurate. I don't think there is too much of a time limit on it either, honestly. However, what I meant by marriage is that since it is so damn hard to do, so much as meet a girl these days or get a date, then the prospect of getting married is practically impossible to reach. I don't think it's because of the times that this had happened. It's the people like what she described have been surfaces or increased. You can find both good or bad partners, honestly. Maybe. I'm sure that people have always been superficial in one form or another. However, I would say that it's a combination of both the times we live in and that are a lot more people who are more superficial today 10 to 30 years ago. And I really do think that it's in part due to how many in our generation was brought up in the first place. A lot of girls in our generation had been really spoiled by their parents. Many were thrown in front of a screen for hours and got exposed to all the mass media that merely glorified the rampant sex culture we see today, along with the lavish lifestyle of rich celebrities. Add social media and dating apps into the mic, and it simply increases the spoiled behavior by tenfold. It created a false sense of entitlement. Honestly, like myself, I agree with you, but I can't believe things like these without facts or studies, etc. It's opinion after all. Also, yes, go for it, why not? Okay, cool. I'm on to posting it now. Alrighty. I just posted it. Check it out. Things is this isn't solely related to online dating or the use of dating apps. This happens physically as well. Because cheating and hookups or a lack of trust and loyalty is just so commonplace, and is a general practice now. Even when searching for something long-term, it can be very hard to find. Yet, it's true what's being said, but definitely not exclusive to online dating. Even if you meet someone IRL and date them the old-fashioned way, they can still date other people because you are not the 24/7. Just like they can still cheat and stuff like that. Agreed. None of his argument really made any sense. This is super well written and it had a lot of truth to it. Dating apps are people at Amazon speed on a superficial level. And there's a lot of damage done while using them. Although they may be fun in the moment, I agree with many points you've made. I use it too, and I can attest that I have desensitized myself from many things. Thank you. To your point, yes, that's exactly it. It's fun in the moment, yet causes so much damage. I'm guilty of it as well. I install and uninstall the apps, running away, and relapsing back into it like some drug. Here's to getting out of that rut, and connecting with people. For real. Good luck out there. If you're not meeting in person, apps are useless. Online dating is misleading, you're not actually dating online. It's not even a matchmaker because there is no salient criteria being compared. Tinder makes money by keeping people single. The fact of matter is that you get out what you put into it. If you use it as a tool on top of everything else you are doing, then it works effectively. If you use it with the expectation that you will magically get everything you want without working for it, you'll get that frustrating fallacy back tenfold. It's not some magic proof against an inability to develop emotional intimacy or a lack of trust. Old had the same barrier of entry as normal dating. So if you're not ready as an individual for that, then you can't handle old. Most people are not good at dating. Old has done nothing to change that. It's not just apps. Modern dating in general lacks a sense of purpose, accepted forms of feedback, and culturally established boundaries. People get their relationship information mostly from the internet, which at the end of the day is a wide range of expert and not so expert opinions that may have little bearing on any individual's real life, but can be very convincing. Everybody then comes to the table with their own prejudices, desires, and expectations, and few can properly communicate them to one another or adjust them to suit the reality of a situation. In this generation, few can afford to buy their own homes. Everyone is overworked, the nuclear family seems like a relic, and there is a lot of encouragement for people to follow their own path in life, wherever it may lead. As a result, it is hard to not only find someone who wants to build a relationship long term, but has the resources to be able to do so. Meet, talk, get to know someone. If you can't have a simple conversation with someone on the phone or in person, move along. We all make time for the things we want. No one is too busy if they are serious. Agreed. Met my fiancé online and we would have never ever met through normal means. I'm a single dad in the suburbs and she is a kid-less city girl, with no social or work overlap. We met, talked, invested, stayed honest, and here we are now. Every relationship has growing pains, but you invest and work through them. I disagree with most of what OP said, mostly because it's defeatist and passes the blame to the system and others, rather than us taking charge of our own happiness and standards. It is well written though. Thanks for watching my video.